Lesson 44 Use Insertion Effect. 1. Introduction. Good morning, afternoon. Today we are going to explore a fairly specialized hook in React called useInsertionEffect. Though it may not be something you use in everyday component logic, understanding it gives insight into the deeper mechanics of how React manages DOM updates and side effects, especially in the context of styling solutions. 2. What is useInsertionEffect? UseInsertionEffect is a hook provided by React that allows you to execute side effects, specifically, to insert DOM elements, often style tags, before any layout effects run. In other words, it gives you a chance to make changes to the DOM, or inject styles, at an earlier point in the rendering lifecycle than the more common layout or effect hooks. React documentation clearly states that unless you are authoring a CSS in JS library, or similarly specialized scenario, you are probably better off using the more familiar useEffect or useLayoutEffect instead. 3. When and why you might need it. What scenario warrants useInsertionEffect? The key case is when you need to ensure that styles are present in the DOM before layout calculations or other effects that depend on layout run. For example, if you are dynamically injecting style rules at runtime and then immediately relying on layout or measurement in subsequent effects, you want to avoid flicker, layout thrashing or mismatches between intended styles and measured results. In particular, if you inserted style tags at a later point, for example in a normal effect, then layout effects or measurement logic might run against the DOM before the styles took effect, leading to incorrect layout or flash of unstyled content. By using useInsertionEffect, you can guarantee your style injections happen early in the cycle. 4. How it behaves and what to watch out for. It's important to understand some caveats and behavior details. This hook runs only on the client, it does not run during server rendering. You cannot update state inside useInsertionEffect. Attempting to do so can lead to problems. At the time when this hook runs, refs may not yet be attached. That means you should not rely on ref current values in a way that assumes the element is present and ready. The timing is subtly different from other hooks. Cleanup and setup for each change of dependencies run in an interleaved fashion, component by component, rather than scheduling all cleanups then all setups globally. Because of its early position in the lifecycle, you cannot assume the DOM has been fully updated, so you should avoid relying on, after DOM update, assumptions in this hook. 5. Use case recap. Styling libraries. Let's recap the most typical use case. Suppose you are building a CSS in JS library, or similar runtime style injection mechanism. You have some JavaScript rule or style object that needs to be turned into a style tag and injected into the document head before other layout effects run. If you did that injection too late, then subsequent layout logic might run before those styles are applied, producing incorrect measurement or visual flicker. In that scenario, useInsertionEffect is ideal. It serves as a hook that guarantees the style insertion happens early enough in the lifecycle to avoid those issues. 6. Summary and advice. UseInsertionEffect is a highly specialized hook for early DOM insertion work, especially style injection. For most everyday component side effects, fetching data, modifying state after render, interacting with refs, you'll use the more common hooks like useEffect or useLayoutEffect. UseInsertionEffect is particularly useful when you are integrating with styling systems that require deterministic insertion of style elements before layouts are calculated. As with all hooks, you need to correctly handle dependencies and cleanup to avoid memory leaks, mismatches, or subtle bugs. My advice: unless you're building or maintaining a styling library or doing something very custom with DOM insertion, you probably don't need to reach for this hook. But knowing it exists and what problem it solves gives you deeper insight into React's rendering lifecycle and the responsibilities of layout versus insertion versus effect phases.